Today, I'm going to give you a three-part sales strategy built from over 12 years of experience that you can use to turn your prospects' no's into yeses. Just imagine you're on a call with your dream prospect. You're giving your very best pitch, and then boom, all of a sudden they hit you with an objection. They say, "This is too expensive," or "We already have something for that." And suddenly, your sales call comes to a screeching halt. Now, you might think that this is the end of the road, but here's the truth. Getting an objection doesn't mean that your deal is dead. It just means that you are at a fork in the road. If you know what to say, you can overcome it. By the end of this video, you will be able to use a proven strategy to keep your deals moving forward, to turn objections into opportunities, and to grow your business. Before we jump into the strategy, we need to talk about objections and what you are most likely to hear on a call when a prospect has one. The reality is, all salespeople deal with objections. It's part of the job. You can think of objections as a reason a customer gives for not wanting to buy right now. It's simply a form of pushback. Objections can stop you cold, and if you're not prepared, they can leave you unsure of what to say next. It might sound obvious, but objections are one of the biggest reasons deals don't close. That's why your ability to handle tough objections is absolutely critical if you want to hit your sales number and stay on track. To start, let's look at 4 of the most common objections. Number 1, lack of need. For example, our processes are working well. Why should we change something that isn't broken? Number 2, lack of authority. Hey, look, I'm not the decision maker here. I need to talk to my boss first. Number 3, lack of budget. It sounds great, but we just haven't allocated the funds. Number 4, using a competitor's product or service. For example, we're actually on contract with your competitor, and mostly they've been meeting our needs. Imagine you're talking to a great fit prospect and they tell you exactly that. They're on contract with your biggest competitor. Well, that sucks. Is your deal dead? Not necessarily. Objections aren't showstoppers. If you understand what's really going on, you can still find a path forward. Because at the end of the day, great sales isn't about pushing products, rather, it's about solving problems. Now, I want to call out a very important distinction. In sales, you'll run into 2 kinds of pushback: obstructions and objections. Obstructions typically happen early in the sales cycle. For example, when you're prospecting, you pick up the phone to cold call someone and they say, "Hey, I can't talk, I'm running into a meeting." Objections happen deeper in the sales process when that customer is actually evaluating your solution. Obstructions are more about timing, and objections are about trust, concerns, and risk. More on handling obstructions later, but first, let's talk about why customers object. Objections can pop up at any point in the sales process, and when they do, it's typically a sign that something's off. Maybe there's a concern, a doubt, or they're just not feeling the urgency to move forward. A simple objection example is, "I can't get the budget approved." Now, there are tons of reasons a customer might object, and if you want to effectively respond to an objection, the very first step is to understand why the customer is raising this concern. Now, it simply might be a lack of knowledge, or it could be a specific valid concern. Often, it's the customer's way of mitigating risk. Here's a real-world example. A while back, a prospective customer said, "Look, Sarah, I get it, but we're already on contract with your biggest competitor." Of course, the rookie move would be to say something like, "Oh man, when does the contract end?" or just to give up. Instead, if you understand the customer's needs, you can dig a bit deeper. You might say something like, "Hey, look, last I checked, that competitor didn't integrate with Salesforce. And if I remember our last conversation, you told me that was crucial for your sales team." Once they confirm, you might ask follow-up questions like, "How is that lack of integration affecting your team's workflow?" There's lots of creative thinking you can do. In fact, you can even buy them out of an existing contract if they confirm that your solution meets their needs. So the takeaway here is that the better you understand your prospective customer's needs, the better you'll be able to handle tough objections. Okay, now let's dive into the 3-step process that you can implement to handle objections. I like to call this the 3 Ds, which are defuse, discover, and deliver. Diffuse the tension, discover the real issue, and deliver a meaningful solution. If you're not sure what each of those means, no worries. I'm going to break each one of them down one by one so you can understand how this works and implement it into your sales process. Step 1, diffuse. First, you need to lower the emotional temperature. Acknowledge how they're feeling. For example, if they say it's too expensive, you might say, I get it. A lot of companies are in a posture of tightening budgets right now. Step 2, discover. In the discover step, your goal is to understand what's really going on. In the no budget example, you might ask open-ended questions like, expensive relative to what? Or is this an issue with the overall number? Or maybe is it the case that the business just doesn't want to pay the full year's cost up front? How have other projects been budgeted for? What does the budgeting process look like? The goal here is to understand the reason for the objection and to chart yourself a path forward. Step 3, deliver. And third, in the deliver step, you should come prepared with meaningful solutions to the problem at hand. If the overall budget isn't the real concern, and instead the business wants to pay in installments, then you can revise your offer so that they can commit annually but pay quarterly or in 2 installments, for example. For prepared responses, you'll want to offer proof, ROI data, and stories from similar businesses who have implemented your technology and experienced success as a result. If you're just getting started with objections, a great practice is to write down the common concerns that you encounter. Just keep a laundry list. Then it's your job to come up with strategies and canned responses that you can reuse. I also like to create objection handling maps. Scripts are really challenging in sales because conversations are rarely linear. Maps give you a little bit more flexibility. Let me show you what I mean. This is a simple objection handling map for when a customer says that they already have a solution in place. If a customer raises a concern like this, I typically respond by saying something like, wow, that's great news, and you should know that puts you in the top few percent of all of the organizations I speak with. That said, I talk to a lot of CFOs or heads of HR that sometimes run into challenges with their current solution, and it doesn't fully meet their needs. For example, it doesn't work offline or integrate with ChartMogul or allow for no-code analysis. You can pick different routes in this map to take the conversation in order to drive to the intended outcome, and it doesn't limit you to necessarily following an objection script step by step. Finally, in advance of important sales calls, I also suggest that you prepare for the individual objections that might come up. Think about what every call participant is responsible for and what they're trying to get out of the meeting. Write down potential objections in advance and think about meaningful ways that you can respond. Let's go back to obstructions for a second. Obstructions are like soft objections. They're typically about someone being busy, not necessarily about them not being interested. It's a bit like when you're walking through the shopping mall trying to find a gift for Father's Day, and someone stops you at a kiosk and wants you to try a new skincare product. You're busy. You did not ask to try the skincare product, and your natural reaction is to lift your defenses and to keep moving. The same thing happens in sales. As soon as someone realizes they're talking to a salesperson, their defenses go up. They start thinking of all the reasons they don't need the products or services you sell. In SaaS sales, obstructions can sound like, I can't talk right now, or is this a sales call? Obstructions are the brain's way of pushing off something unexpected. So, as that salesperson, what should you do when you encounter an obstruction? A great strategy for handling obstructions starts with a pattern interrupt. Pattern interrupts break the traditional turn-taking of conversation. So if I cold call someone and they say, I can't talk right now, I'm headed into a meeting, your first reaction is to say, oh, okay, I'm so sorry about that. But you might try something different. Instead, you want to break the flow and say something surprising or unexpected, like, ugh, meetings are the worst. I hope it's a good one. Or if it's a really odd time for a meeting, you might say something like, really? At 2:12? And when you can get someone to engage or even laugh, they might lower their defenses enough for you to have a short, meaningful dialogue and maybe even successfully book that meeting. Common obstructions include phrases like, I'm just not interested, I'm too busy to talk right now, can you send me an email? Next time you encounter an obstruction, try a pattern interrupt. When they say, can you send me an email? Instead try, look, let me level with you. Odds are, if I do that, you're likely to hit that archive button faster than I can say email, and you're never going to reply. With a bit of preparation and practice, you'll soon master how to handle all your most common objections and obstructions. After all, objections are a natural part of selling. With the 3 Ds, diffuse, discover, deliver, you've got a proven strategy to navigate any objection and keep the conversation alive. Click here to check out the next video where we go into depth on exactly how to get your first 100 customers as fast as possible so that you can get your SaaS business off the ground. I'll see you in the next one.